wonder if Charlie Kirk is going to be able to pull his head up out of his own ass to address the story in which I'm about to bring to you today. But something tells me that he most likely won't, because he's so wrapped up in wanting to be seen and heard saying and doing ridiculous things. And the reason why I said that, or I started the video off like that, is because remember last year, I think it was last year, when Charlie Kirk had made that statement of that he wouldn't fly on a plane that was piloted by a black person, or was a black woman, or something along those lines. Either way, black person, black woman, the commonality there is that they're black. Well, let me introduce you to this story that was brought to my attention by one of my patrons over there on Patreon, and shout out to that individual. This person's name is David Alsop, and they are, or in this case, they probably were, as in past tense, a pilot for Southwest Airlines. And he was arrested at a Georgia airport because allegedly he showed up to work intoxicated. Now, you got to realize how dangerous that is for you to be a pilot, someone who is in control of not of only your own life, but various other people's lives, to get you from one destination to another, and you are there drunk. Really? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. A Southwest Airlines pilot was arrested shortly before takeoff on Wednesday in Georgia after he allegedly showed up to work intoxicated. New Hampshire resident David Alsop, age 52, was arrested at Savannah Hilton Head International Airport at around 7 a.m. on Wednesday, according to the Chatham County Sheriff's Office. He was charged with driving under the influence. So he didn't even make it to the airport yet, but they arrested him there. They arrested him at the airport. That's when they probably realized that something was going on, or something was off. Alsop was apprehended just before Southwest Flight 3772, bound for Chicago, was about to leave Georgia. It departed shortly before 11 a.m., nearly 4 hours after it was scheduled to take off. Southwest told Fox News Digital that it was looking into the incident, and that Alsop, whose LinkedIn profile states that he is a pilot, has been, quote, removed from duty. We're aware of a situation involving an employee on Flight 3772 this morning from Savannah, the airline said. The employee has been removed from duty. Southwest also noted that the flight's passengers were accommodated onto other flights while Flight 3772 remained grounded. Customers were accommodated on other flights, and we apologize for the disruption to their travel plans, a spokesperson said. There's nothing more important to Southwest than the safety of our employees and customers. That was another thing I didn't take into consideration. Because of what he did and the passengers having to be diverted to another flight, that messed up their travel plans. What if some of them had to be in a certain place by a certain time? Now, because of what he did, that messed up their travel plans. But you know what? It's rather than be safe than sorry. But at the same time, I would still be pissed at what this guy did. It is rare, but not unheard of, for a pilot to be arrested or apprehended for excessively drinking before a flight. Last May, Japan Airlines grounded a flight from Dallas to Tokyo after it was discovered that a pilot drank excessively the night before. Although the pilot did not violate the internal guidelines against drinking within 12 hours of departure, Japan Airlines canceled the flight in order to assess the captain's physical and mental well-being. Well, shout out to Japan for doing their due diligence, because they said the key word there for that story is excessively drinking, which means they took in an intense amount of alcohol. It's not like they took a shot here and a shot there. It sounds to me like they probably had a whole row of shots and probably something straight out of the bottle, like just taking it to the head. Authorities are actively investigating the incident. Yeah, I'm glad that they was able to catch the guy, because that could have been catastrophic. Like, that could have been a very bad situation right there. And the reason why, like I said, I bring that up and I started off with Charlie Kirk is again because of that comment that he made last year on his podcast, or whatever it is that he said, when he said that he would not fly on a plane that was piloted by a black person. Meanwhile, you have this white pilot right here who drank and was getting ready to pilot a plane for people about to go to Chicago. He could have ended up that could have led to tragedy. Thankfully, they caught him before he could even touch the plane. But then again, also the passengers, their travel plans got messed up because they had to be moved to another plane. And who knows what time that flight was going to leave, because it's not like it was going to take off like whenever that at the request of the customers or the passengers. It was going to take off when at the scheduled time they were supposed to take off. And then when you do that, that throws everything off, because what if that throws the schedule off for the pilot of that plane? So it has a ripple effect. People will look at it, oh, he just did it or whatever, like that. It is what it is. It's not like this person was working, the stewardess or whatever. It's not like it was one of the people on the plane doing that. Like, they could easily swap them out and nothing, keep it moving, because they're not piloting. But when a pilot, and he's the main pilot from what I'm gathering, because they always have the main pilot, you have a co-pilot, but either way, even with the co-pilot, you still have to have someone there, because no one's piloting a plane by themselves. It's usually like two people in that cockpit. It's usually never just one person, unless they're flying a Cessna plane. But clearly we know that this is a 747. This is a big boy plane, so it's two people, so it has to be a second person. But man, like, just the sheer stupidity on his part. And I know pilots, they get paid a lot of money. I'm talking about six figures. You messed up your money. On top of that, I don't feel bad for him, but I'm glad that they took care of this situation. And for people like Charlie Kirk to come out of his mouth saying, oh, I don't trust the plane that's piloted by a black person or a black woman because of DEI, that. Charlie Kirk, I don't know if you're listening to this or not. You probably not, and I could care less if you are. What do you have to say about this? Probably absolutely nothing, because just like I said at the beginning, his head is so far up his ass that he would not pay attention to something like this. And also, before I end it off, a lot of the stories that we have heard where it's been situations with different pilots and people with these planes and the issues were never black pilots. They were always white pilots. Like when they was looking it up, it's like as soon as he said that, people started looking into different stories about any issues with a plane, and every time you look up, it always came back, and it was typically always a white male pilot. So that completely fell, like Charlie Kirk, as per usual, fell flat on his face. And of course, with him, he has no shame. I mean, look at him. Look at how he looks right now. You can tell that man has fell on his face several times, and he's still continuing to fall.